Hi, my name's Chris from OuiCommunicate. I'm a French teacher for adults, and in this video we'll be discussing how easy it is or how hard it is for American adults to fit in French society. And before we start, this video will offend a few people. It's not the purpose of this video to offend anyone, but I know it will offend a few people. So I don't want to poo-poo your dream. I don't want to poo-poo anyone's dream. I don't want to smother your dream before it even has a chance to breathe. It's not the purpose of this video. But the thing is, I'm in the business of selling reality. I'm in the business of selling quality French classes that work. And the fact is, I've known France for over 40 years. I was a wee toddler. I already knew what France was. I know France like I know what an apple is, right? So I'm well aware that there are hundreds, there are thousands of videos on YouTube that portray expats living the dream life in France, and they tell you how integrated they are and what a dream life they're living. But between you and I, they're living in La La Land, and I'm sorry to say, they really are. They don't know, and they might even believe that what they say is true. On the other hand, when you set out to make a video to tell people how happy you are in France, well, that's what you're going to say in your video, isn't it? You're going to find a way to prove your point. I've known France for decades, so this video is going to help anyone who wants a slice of reality. Don't watch it if you don't want a slice of reality. It's the best thing I can tell you. But I'm going to tell you how it is, but I'm also going to tell you what your best chance is of integrating in French society as an American. Let's start by talking about the two main obstacles for your age group. I'm talking about 40 plus people, 40, 50, 60, 70. So there are two main obstacles that I see. First, if you're an adult, maybe even retired, you're moving to France, or you have the project of moving to France, but by this stage your going out days are largely behind you. There are fewer parties that you'll want to go to, there's less time spent at bars, there are fewer chances to socialise, and this is a big factor when going to France. Now, this is problem number one of two. I'm sorry to say, and I'm going to offend a few people, but the French already have their social circles, their families and long-term friends, right? And you have a reduced time slot in which to make friends. You're the outsider. You're American, you're the outsider. So this is not the 1940s, obviously. So Americans are no longer seen as exotic or exciting. You're just one of many, okay? So today you're just another foreigner, and they're not rushing to meet you. There's no sense of novelty. Oh, look, an American. Oh, I wonder what they have to say. No, the world has changed, of course. Now, the second big obstacle is the French social class system, and I made a full-length video on this, which you'll find in my videos somewhere. The French social class system, which is very, very complex and very, very different from the American social class system. It's much more rigid than in the USA, where there's much more social mobility. Some people will argue it's not true. Okay. Whatever, that's not the point of this video here. Wealth in America usually equals higher status, right? You go up in society, the more money you make. Not so in France, okay? This can be really, really confusing to Americans in France. So a wealthy American can still seem quite vulgar, or just, they'll think, well, they're nothing special, you know, they just have a lot of money. They won't sort of try to include you in their social circle. It's not the way it works. You might be very wealthy and still give the impression of being nothing special. So at the same time, someone with very little money in France might be considered noble just because of their education, their cultural refinement, their way of thinking, or simply their social connections. This can be frustrating to Americans because you can't just buy your way into French acceptance, you see? So now I'm going to tell you what your best chance is of fitting into French society. Knowing the country of France as I do, your number one and only best chance of being accepted in France is your French, nothing else. Not just a few tourist phrases. You have to be fully conversational. You have to develop full conversation fluency before going to France. That's your best chance. If you speak French fluently, you'll stand out. And this is important. In a very good way, you'll stand out. And the French will think, who is this American who can actually speak the French? I has never seen this before. That's what they'll be saying. you'll be turning heads. They'll say, well, who's this American who speaks French fluently? So they will be saying, who's this American who actually learnt our language? It will be surprising to them. You really will stand out. You're one of an exception. You are the exception. You're one of a few. It's very, very rare. And it immediately signals to them, following their codes, well, that you're educated, that you're serious, and that you're worth their curiosity. On the other hand, if you show up in France with an incomplete knowledge of French, it will just keep you in that foreigner pigeonhole. You'll be perceived as a foreigner. You know, you either know French or you don't, so people will assume that, well, you're here short term, that you're not committed, you're just there for the food and the scenery, you know, enjoying the furniture of France instead of its people. They'll just see you as a holiday maker. It doesn't even matter if you've lived in France for 10 years or more. They'll still see you as a holiday maker. You might see yourself, I'm sorry to say, I don't want to offend anyone, you might see yourself as the genuine article. You might see your reasons as legitimate. You might describe yourself as a lover of France. Why not? But they will think you can't possibly know because you don't even speak the language. How do you know you love France? You don't speak French, right? I'm sorry. But speaking French well, however, is paying them the biggest compliment you could ever do. It shows genuine interest in them as a people, as French people, not just their country as a tourist destination. You're not in France just because you find it pretty or because it's different than the USA. So this is going to be a cruel example. It's going to be a cruel example, but it might get you thinking. Imagine if the roles were reversed. Imagine if a French family moved to Route 66 in Arizona without speaking any word of English, just because they like cactuses and cowboy hats. I think I'm supposed to say cacti. They like the desert, they like Harley Davidsons, cowboy hats. Okay, let's move to Arizona. Wouldn't you think it's a bit odd? Wouldn't you think it's a bit bizarre just to move to America just because you like the sight of the Grand Canyon or something? Not a word of English, just I like the scenery, I like cowboy hats, that's it, that's my scene. It is a bit cruel, isn't it? Frankly, you have to think of the French perception. They might be thinking, well, what is it about France they like? If there was such a French family in America, would you want to invest your time with them? That's exactly how the French see Americans who move there without any French. And this is important. It seems very, very idealistic by the French standards, and it really, really deeply clashes with the French Cartesian mind, l'esprit cartésien. The French are quite rational people, and they see Americans coming in with this idealistic, idealized view of France and wine and cheese and whatnot, but it completely clashes with the French frame of mind. You have to know that. So to be overly clear, here's a reality check. There is no French person at this moment who's sitting around hoping to meet you. Whether you move to Paris or a small village, it's all the same. To become part of the club, you will need French. It's your number one asset, the one tool you have to distinguish yourself from the mass of tourists is your command of the language. It's how you make an impression, it's how you show respect, and it's how you gain access to French society. But without French, it's wow. So, the good news is that it is possible, of course it's possible, to learn French as an adult. Of course it is. With the right approach and the right program, you can go from outsider to insider, and you can open the doors onto France that would otherwise remain firmly closed. And if you are serious about learning French, I specialize in teaching English speakers, adult learners. I have a self-paced program, everything's online, or you can opt for the 100-hour intensive French program, close monitoring, intensive drills to get you to become a speaker of French in 100 hours. That's what I do. And before I sign off, I want to make absolutely clear, I'm not mocking anyone, I'm not judging anyone. It's a great idea to go to France. I understand why Americans love France, but I also think they completely underestimate the social class system, how French people perceive them, and the importance of speaking French well. I hope this video was useful. My name is Chris from OuiCommunicate. Enjoy France. See you soon in a class.